Who doesn't like a freshly baked, pillowy soft pav buns straight from the oven? Apart from the recipe, I will also be sharing few key points in this video, which includes how to ensure that you get soft pavs, how to make sure that you have smooth glossy finish on tops, how to achieve bakery style look, and also answering few queries like why don't I get color on top of my pav, why do I get yeasty smell in my pav, and many others. So keep watching this video where I cover 9 mistakes that you probably are making that ruins your homemade pav experience. Let us start by adding salt to the base of our mixing bowl. Now this is probably the first mistake that you might be making, which is allowing the salt to come in direct contact with the yeast. Salt retards the yeast activity, and this is also the reason why sometimes you might have observed that your dough doesn't rise properly during the first or second proofing because the activity of yeast has been retarded due to salt. There is one more reason for it, which I'll explain when we reach that step. Okay, so next in goes the flour, milk powder, sugar, and yeast. Milk powder here acts as an enrichment which makes the final baked product soft, and that is my next tip, which is to use a little milk powder while making bread to get a softer end result. Okay, finally, to bind everything into a dough today, we will be using lukewarm milk. I have made this recipe with just water and also water and milk in 50 to 50-50 ratio, and it turns good every time. So you can use any liquid, but I would recommend milk here. At some point, you will have to ditch the spatula and switch over to your hands to combine everything into a dough and then transfer to your worktop to knead it. Remember, we have not added any butter as of now, and that is the reason you might find the dough to be a bit dry. So you can add additional 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk to combine it into a dough. Just lightly dust your worktop with some flour. Have you ever experienced or complained of your pav being dry? This is the reason adding too much flour while kneading at this stage is the culprit here. See, I'm just using hardly about 1 teaspoon of flour and not more. So sprinkle just lightly and start kneading. If you find that the dough is sticky at this stage, then you can lightly coat the worktop with some oil and knead, but never add too much flour. Again, there is also a right way of kneading the dough. Observe the motion of my hands here. I am pushing the dough with the help of my heels, bringing it back to the center and then rotating the dough. Okay, knead for around 10 minutes and you will see lots of changes in your bread. It would get elastic, pliable, and your hands would also become cleaner. This step is crucial, or else your pav will crumble upon cooling as there is not enough structure to hold it together. You can check this video on bread baking queries for clear picture of why does a bread crumble once baked. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, we would be adding butter. Look at the consistency. It is super soft. This way, it would be easy to incorporate the butter into the dough. This technique is known as delayed fat method, and this is the second reason for your dough not rising properly and not giving the bread like typical bread like structure or texture. So the mistake that you might be making is adding the butter right at the beginning, which hinders with the yeast activity and the bread doesn't develop gluten. So by following this method of delaying the addition of fat, you will have a proper bread texture. Okay, once you add the butter, it would be a little messy job to knead the dough, but keep kneading and in just few minutes you will observe the bread coming together. This recipe is fairly easy to make in a stand mixer. The details of the same can be found on our blog spicesandflavors.com. The link for the same is given in the description box below. Okay, so the next mistake you might be doing is not adding enough moisture to the dough. The final consistency of the dough should be tacky and it should feel moist, like when you press the dough and take your palms away, you should feel that pichik sound. I'm sorry for that, but I couldn't figure out what would be the best way to explain it. So sorry about that typical sound. So that is what you are looking for. So to reach the consistency, So to reach that consistency, you might need to add additional milk while kneading the dough, and that is totally fine. In all, I have added about additional of 4 tablespoons of lukewarm milk than what the recipe calls for. So just observe your dough and make the changes. This is again easier to judge while making in a stand mixer. So when you lift the stand mixer, you would see a blob of dough sticking to the base of the mixture. Again, the details are given on the blog for you guys. Now most of your job is done in terms of making a perfect Ladi Pav. All you have to do is grease the bowl with some oil, place the dough in it and let it proof for 1.5 hours until doubled in volume. This is the stage where you can put it in the fridge for overnight proofing for about 8 hours. Follow all the steps till now, then cover with a cling wrap, put it in the fridge and then shape it the first thing in the morning. And next steps follows by. But we are not going to put it in the fridge now. We will be continuing with the recipe. So follow the next steps, which is to proof it for 1.5 hours on your countertop as mentioned. After proofing, punch down the dough to release the gases and take it out. At this stage, you can weigh the total volume of the dough and divide it evenly to get 16 pav buns, or you can eyeball and simply divide it into 16 balls too, up to you. From this recipe, you can make 12 to 16 balls depending upon the size of your baking pan. If you want to learn just one takeaway from this video, then that would be to always and always keep your dough covered with a tea towel to avoid it from drying out while you are weighing or while you are shaping. This is one of the mistake that you might be doing, the reason for your pav turning out to be dry. Okay, so do you observe the dough not having a smooth finish and never looks like a store-bought Ladi Pav? The next mistake that you might be doing is not spending enough time shaping the dough. This step is key to make a good Ladi Pav, which so many of you commit a mistake in. So I thought I'll just teach you guys how to shape the Ladi Pav buns. So you take the dough that you weighed first, tuck the sides beneath and observe how I am holding my hands enclosing the dough. Then you push with your thumb and roll with your fingers. It would take around a minute or two, so just roll and shape. This ensures that it is a tight roll and creates tension in the dough, so it would hold that curved shape while baking too. Okay, so you would literally feel the dough becoming stiff here. Once you feel that, place it in the greased pan in which you will be baking later on. So let me show you the shaping part one more time. So basically you would take a roundel, tuck the sides beneath to fold it and then push with your thumb and bring it back with your fingers. So push with your thumb and roll back with your fingers. If you find it difficult to roll, then just wet the surface with a tissue towel. Again, not too wet or else the dough would become sticky, right? So this technique remains the same if you are making a burger bun or if you are making crusty rolls. So whatever you are making, just make sure that you are shaping it well like seen in this video. This may sound intimidating, but the more you do it, the effortless it becomes. And with time and practice, you will start rolling with both your hands like I do now. See, this is the convex or the curved shape you are after, and also observe how smooth the dough is without any cracks or without any marks here and there. Just drop a comment below when you too start rolling with both your hands, and I'm waiting for that day. Okay, so the next mistake that you might be doing is placing your pav buns far apart from each other. Note the distance here. It is really close to each other. That way, while it proofs for the second time, the dough will stick to each other on all the sides and remain soft and won't become crusty. So place your pav buns close to each other and allow for second proofing. For second proofing, do not go by the time. Observe the pav. It should have risen and doubled in volume, filling the gaps and sticking to each other. It took me 45 minutes to reach this stage, but it totally depends on the climatic conditions as well. So now if you like a brown crust, or if your baked goodies does not caramelize well in your oven, then now is the stage to brush the top of your pav with some milk before baking. I have now stopped doing it because of the dairy paste products, which is milk and milk powder that we use to make the pavs, which gives the soft pale color once baked, which is generally the color of pavs that we get in the market. But if you like yours to be more caramelized, then definitely go for milk wash. The other mistake that you might be doing is not preheating your oven, and I cannot stress how important this is. A bread dough has to enter a heated oven only for the beautiful oven spring to take place, and due to this your pav bakes unevenly. That is, if you have not preheated of your oven, this is the reason why your pav bakes unevenly and you get yeast smell in your bread if it is not baked thoroughly. And even after following this precaution, if you feel that the dough still smells yeasty, then in that case you need to reduce the amount of yeast than what is called for in the recipe. So bake in a preheated oven of 200 degrees Celsius for around 18 to 25 minutes. If you had shaped your pav smooth at the shaping step, then you would definitely get an evenly baked pav buns with a smooth store-bought finish on top. To get the glossy shine, once baked, immediately brush the top with some butter. This also ensures that your top remains soft. Sit in the pan itself for another 5 minutes, then invert to release the pav. If you leave the pav in the pan itself for long, then due to condensation, it would collect moisture at the base and become soggy and will not dry up. This is probably a mistake that many of you guys are making. So always take it out after about 3 to 5 minutes on a wire rack and allow it to cool completely before enjoying your favorite vada pav, misal pav or pav bhaji. These pav buns are incredibly soft, so moist, spongy and pillow-like that you would definitely not miss the store-bought pavs anymore. And of course, you can also bake them in pressure cooker. The procedure for the same has been explained in my previous video, which I will link in the description box below, or you can also check it out from our website spicesandflavors.com. Now you can store the cooled pavs. Note that it has to be cooled completely and then stored in an airtight container up to 3 days on your countertop. If stored in fridge, it would definitely become dry. So your countertop is your best friend and an airtight container. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I also answered few of your queries related to making pavs at home. If you still have more, then definitely drop a comment below and let me know about your thoughts. And by now you guys know the drill, right? So like, comment, share and subscribe for more such videos on baking and desserts. Don't forget to join us on Instagram as well. I'll see you soon in my next one. Until then, this is Sushma signing off. Take care. Bye bye.